Hey everybody, welcome back to a very special 69th episode, nice, of Fast Charging with B&B. I'm Brian.
And I'm Bear.
Yeah, he's Bear. As usual, or for the first time. Who knows? The deep fakes are getting very real, so I just have to trust that he's really real. So, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, when I fake it, it is deep, so...
Wow. Starting off blue.
Why not? Why not?
Hey, it's the special episode. Nice.
Yes, it is. So we're going to refer to it as much as we can. And I believe, Brian, in 19 minutes, it will be 420. So you can go with the 69 episode, and it's 420 if you want.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's coming up next week?
I think it's your big time investor day at Austin, your pregame show.
Yeah, how cool is that going to be, huh? We've got drone pilots, we've got Ellie in space, we've got YouTubers, we've got me. It's going to be a pizza fest with free pizza and beverages, and tickets in the range of $0 to far more, any price you want to pay. It just helps out with the cost. No need to actually pay. Just show up. Get a ticket so we know how much pizza to get.
Yeah, please. This was an event that we did last year. I'm not going to be there this year. I'm supposedly got another event going on in Vegas. So I'm not going to be there, but I want everybody to eat at least one slice of pizza for me. And there was several hundred people that showed up last year, so that was... pretty exciting.
It was so cool. We got there at 10 o'clock to set up for our noon event, and there was probably 300 people there already. So we will be setting up a little earlier this time, and expect a far smaller crowd, because this isn't Cyber Rodeo. It's just Investor Day, but it's going to be great.
It will be a good time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Faux show. So let's move on to... Did you know that in the future, Rolls-Royce will be electric?
The future. How far into the future?
Well, if we're seeing articles about it, it must be just around the corner, right?
Oh, yeah. Like any day now?
Oh, it says 2030.
Wow. That's, I've said this before, I'm not sure I'm going to be alive at that point. I hope I am.
It's crazy, but I think with a company that makes such a small number of cars, you have to kind of, plan your models farther out in advance.
Do you? Don't you think it might be easier?
I don't know, dude. It seems like a long time away, but at least they're on the right page. That's more than we can say about others.
Yes, but those others would not be Volvo.
No. Volvo CEO says tiptoeing towards future EV adoption is a bad idea.
Yeah, like some companies like Toyota.
Who's ever heard of them? The idea is Volvo can read the writing on the wall. They know what's going on. They can see that this is absolutely happening. They're getting on board.
Yeah, maybe they can get on board with their brain lifts, if you remember that from last week, and change their software.
Yeah. Software's really hard. You remember how many Volkswagen, how many software engineers they hired? 10,000.
They probably made some bad choices then.
Yeah, the first one was hiring 10,000 software. That's too many. That's too many. That's like sending all the king's horses and all the king's men to mend an egg.
Yeah, you know what? I've never really thought about that. That probably was overkill just for Humpty Dumpty.
Certainly don't send all of them.
Yeah. Who's guarding the fort?
No one. They're all mending an egg.
That would have been interesting if that's how that story ended. All the king's men and all the king's horses went to go fix Humpty Dumpty, and then someone else came in and raided the castle.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't know, because it would have been, the history is written by the victors. So
I would be pretty proud of that victory. So let's talk about Volkswagen, and because 20,000 pound EV, that looks like a victory to me. if they can actually get one out in ID.2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's no comparison to the 10,000 pound Hummer. Oh, you meant money. Yeah,
Ah,
that is a good deal. If they can make it, if they can make a hot little compact for 20,000 pounds, what's that? $25,000 ish.
yeah,
That's a good deal. That's a good deal, and I have confidence that they are able to build the cars that they intend to. I mean, we've seen the ID Buzz is coming up, and it's out. I mean, we've seen it. Yeah, this is what the market needs, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. These cute little inexpensive cars that commuters need. This is something that would obviously do well at that price point because it would be sub Bolt level, and that's the only choice for people on a real strict budget.
Yeah, and if it has a shorter range, that's not a deal breaker for the European market, and hopefully it'll get a little better for the U.S. market because our tolerance for short ranges is not as robust.
No, 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 it certainly is not.
Yeah.
But they also are going to be doing their best-selling SUV, which I'm still not sure how to say that. The Tiguan,
Sure.
Tiguan,
I always
Ti
said Tiguan, but we'll find out.
Taycan. That's it. Uh, yeah. So the Volkswagen Taycan is going to be all electric. Also, they're going to start building that in 2026. So it's a it's an okay little vehicle. I mean, I've seen them, I've been in them. I've never driven one. As far as the gas powered ones, but Volkswagen doesn't do much to excite people with their cars. They're more of the car for the people or the people's car, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Some
That's
sort
what
of
the
Nazi slogan or something.
yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
Well, it's hey man, rebranding is tough.
Yeah, but it's still there.
It's still there. Yeah, but it's a good slogan. It's a good name. The the I don't know. 2026 doesn't excite me, but they're going to have to wait for battery supplies to catch up before they can electrify everything. And
Didn't you just do?
Volkswagen,
Didn't you just do a video on there's enough batteries out there?
yes, to ramp, but not to convert overnight, to match the expected ramp. Yeah, I made that video. It went well. It went well.
Yeah, I pay attention to YouTube. I didn't. I didn't watch it. Sorry.
That one was a lot of work. It was a deep dive.
Yeah, if I could watch more programming while I'm driving, I could probably get a lot more videos in. But the Blue Cruise, unlike the Mach E, does not let me take my eyes off the road for more
Yeah.
than like 5 seconds. So I can't play Candy Crush. I can't watch YouTube videos. And if I put the phone down right on the dashboard, I end up blocking the sensor that's looking for my eyes, and it still thinks it knows. They made a perfect, nice little tray for your phone, but then it blocks you. So I have to pay attention, and I can't watch your videos while I'm driving.
So unfair.
It
So
is.
unfair. Yeah. Anybody else got any vehicles they're ready to show?
Yeah, I already flipped my screen. I already flipped my slide. I was thinking, how many TVs can you get in the ID Buzz?
In the ID Buzz?
That's what we had
Oh.
next. Did you fall on your face?
Yeah, I did. So we got the ID Buzz spied without camouflage. Now, Jeff and I saw. I don't remember if it was the U.S. one. I don't think it was. I think it was the shorter wheelbase one at the auto show in
Yeah.
L.A. And it was fine. It looked very cheap on the inside, but that's kind of what's needed to keep the costs in line, I guess.
Isn't it possible to make something look good without making it look cheap without spending a lot of money?
I think if there was, they would already have done it. That's my belief.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I'm still waiting to see when this one shows up here because I'd like to see how it compares in size to other SUVs on the inside and if the seating capacity is really enough. So I'd be interested in this.
Yeah, it's, I assume, smaller than the Pacifica by a bit, but it's still the smaller one we saw. We checked it out. The size looked reasonable, but it didn't have a third row because it wasn't the US one. So we'll see. We'll see. It doesn't look that much longer, but we'll see.
I'll tell you what, if it doesn't have a third row, I'm not sure. I don't get the whole idea of making a minivan without a third row.
Correct. Correct. There's the only advantage a minivan would have over a small SUV is that the sliding doors don't bang into other cars from the back seat.
Yeah, which I really do appreciate when I'm getting in and out of the back of the Pacificas because it's just squeezing it. We squeeze into a lot of tight spots, so I do like that. I want to take a moment and just I've got a couple questions on
Sure.
my chat. Digital Blade Canada is asking me what's in Vegas. I believe that there's a rental convention I'm supposed to be going to, a car rental convention. So I might be headed there for that. I have to double check my dates. JJ's asking me if I'm going to live stream the Nikola Quarter 4 results, which I plan on doing that. Scooterman's asking about the chocolate I promised, and you'll have to stay tuned because I don't know how I'm going to arrange that. So, and we're going to have another Nikola and Lucid flyover. We were planning on doing it today, and today it was raining, and then we were planning on doing it tomorrow's a backup, and tomorrow's supposed to have 25-mile-per-hour winds, so we might be looking at Thursday before we can get out there and do that. So I just wanted to address a few of those comments.
Sounds good.
Super.
So the Chevy Equinox, is that where we are?
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it looks like a VinFast.
Maybe a VinFast looks like the Equinox.
Ooh, possible. But the VinFast was so much sooner. It's, I don't know, it looks fine. It doesn't look too weird. I think consumers will be willing to adopt it. Do you think it's going to look like this?
It better.
It better, because this is not crazy.
No, yeah, it's really not over the top. It does look similar to some other vehicles that are out there. The tail end of it, as you're looking towards the back, looks like an EV6, which I prefer that. I like that design. I like the headlight bar going across the front. Compared to the current model of the Equinox, this is a complete redo. I mean, the similarities are that they have tires, and that's about it. I've got 4 Equinoxes now, and they're very generic. They do what I need them to do, but I think this is a very good looking car. And if they can have the range where they say that they're going to have it, the price where they're going to say that they have it, because they're talking $30,000, and I just bought a brand new Equinox and it cost me $27,000 out the door. So we're not talking about a very big difference between a gas model and the EV model. So I think that this would be a big win if Chevy can get these produced in volume numbers. They can do the Bolt, and I'm just so glad they didn't make it like a bigger Bolt, because that would have been
Well, Larry
worse
says
than awful.
Larry says it looks a bit more like the Blazer than it has previously, and Nigel says, I hear they're going to make over 100 of these before recalling them all.
Well, I can't deny any of those things.
Yeah, so that's exciting. Speaking of heavy, do you know that Loomis has a zero-emission electric cash hauler?
Do you think if you hit it with an EMP, you could short everything out and all the doors would just open up?
I don't know about the doors. I'm going to say no. They probably got a mechanical failsafe. But any car, if you hit it with an EMP, is going to stop.
But any car doesn't have like a ton of money in them.
Right, but any armored car is still a computer on wheels.
Yes. I understand that.
Nigel says it does look a bit like a brick, and yes, it does, but that's to be expected of an armored car. So
I've got all these tabs. They're so little because we have so much.
The next generation Lexus, which we've talked about. We've talked about it, but it's coming in 2025, maybe.
That seems awfully soon for Toyota not wanting to do anything. Just like a month ago, all on the electric is bad. It's the devil, and now we can get this done in 2 years when they can't even keep the wheels on the cars.
Well, that's because that car wasn't made by them. It's just rebadged, where this would, I assume, be made by them. I mean, they've got so much experience with hybrid drivetrains. I don't think it's a big leap to get the hybrid efficiencies, the hybrid competencies to translate to a pure battery electric. I just don't understand why it took them 20 years to do it.
Because they weren't trying.
And Jeff pointed out that the best wheel is no wheel bear. So
that's straight from Elon Musk.
Yeah. I tell you, man, I made a joke in a video where I said the best brakes are no brakes. Why not get rid of the brakes entirely and just do it all regenerative? Oh.
Well, I think we're going to actually talk about that later.
Who knows, man? All of this is just a mystery to me.
There's like a Scooby-Doo mystery, huh?
Worse.
Speaking of mysteries, VinFast, and I say that they're a mystery because it's going to be a mystery if they survive 2 years in the United States. VinFast gets the green light to begin construction on its first U.S.-based EV plant in North Carolina.
Yeah, that'll be... We knew it was coming. The permits are apparently in place. VinFast is, I think, the 5th largest company in Vietnam. They've got a long track record of success in the domestic market. I don't know how much they've exported beyond Vietnam, but they're a real company. Now, the reviews, apparently the reviews they got were unfairly kind because they were kind of buying them, more like bribing their way into good reviews. And so we'll see how competent the vehicle actually is.
Yeah, they may have a little culture shock when they realize there's a freedom of the press here. I mean, you can still buy the press, but there's going to be people who are going to be flat out honest and just say what they really think. But I don't think VinFast's current model of leasing batteries is going to work very well here in this country. What are your thoughts on that?
So when I talked to them at Fully Charged in Santiago, they said that it is optional, that it is not going to be a mandatory system, that you'll be able to purchase your battery if that's your desire, because they realized they just can't get the market to accept 100% battery leasing. And especially if the battery's $100 or $200 a month, that's a big chunk, man. That's an unacceptably high number. To swap out and trade with other people who abuse the heck out of the battery. Because I can't imagine, what do you do when you finally get one that's full powered? You just stop swapping?
Are they battery swapping on them also? I thought you were just leasing the battery.
Oh, I thought the whole point of the lease was that you could swap them. Because then the idea is who cares if the battery you get isn't in great shape? It's still not even your battery. Just get a different one.
Yeah, I thought that was Neo does the battery swapping. I thought VinFast was just straight up leasing them, and that way you could buy the car at a lower price.
That makes sense. That would make more sense than the swap. So yeah, there is still an option to buy the battery.
Yeah, but then it just brings you right back up to what the price of a car would be, but the range on them still sucks.
Gobbles floppy donkey. So it would if you could, and the reviews from people who weren't paid for suggest that the range may not be as good as hoped, which would be a problem.
Oh,
So,
even the range that was as good as hoped was still low.
yeah,
When they
yeah.
first started taking reservations, I looked into them, and I think the VF9 was like, oh, or eight. It was 8 or 9. I don't remember which one it is. Was like, okay, wow, that's almost like a full size SUV, and then the range was almost like a Bolt EV, and it was like, no, 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 that's not going to work.
Especially not for a new entrant. When you had Hyundai and Kia coming to the US for the first time, the cars were absolutely not as good, but they were so much cheaper that they were still able to get a foothold. And they got good pretty quickly. So we'll
Hmm.
see.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah.
I also wonder how that lease works on the battery. Like, say you bought the car. Let's say you pay for the car in cash, and you're going to go ahead and lease the battery. And your payment, you don't make the payment. Well, what happens there?
I
Do
would, yeah.
they come by with a lift and just pull the battery out from the bottom, or are they able to software disable it?
Remote lock it. Boy,
Yeah,
that. And if they can, tell me that never goes wrong. Tell me you're never in an emergency when your credit card accidentally declines because it's you got a new card in the mail and you forgot to update it.
yeah.
Oh, man.
So I don't know. I don't know. I'm very leery of that. So
Yeah, well, if you like a can of worms, this sounds like it.
hmm.
But on the plus side, I'm pretty sure that's the next one. At least
Yeah,
the cars are high quality.
yes. Except for the 2800, almost 2800 that they had to recall.
What was wrong with them?
Just a bolt that you put into the brake caliper. It just, I guess it wasn't staying in or something. And, nothing important. The best
No.
brakes are no brakes.
Yeah, yeah. So that's, but you know what? 2,800 recalled. That tells you a that the volume is still very low, and this is not an unusual recall, in my opinion, for a brand new vehicle. You've still got some kinks to iron out until the vehicle is really in mainstream production. So,
But it's
I
best not to have it on the brakes.
well, I mean, it's best not to have a recall at all. I mean, it's not like they're having millions of recalls.
Oh, nice. I see what you just did there. Like 3.4 million times that Tesla's had to recall a car.
Could you think of a more dishonest light in which to portray this story?
Uh, well, they could have said 3.5 million times, but if you want to see the people go at it in the comments, you should scroll down because they were fighting over whether or not this was a, a story or not, basically, or whether it was a hit piece or whether the guy calling it a hit piece was one of Elon Musk's stooges. So yeah, they had it out in the comments section. There wasn't much in the article.
So, one of the things that affects a recall is how practical it is. If it's a very minor fix and it's not super critical, most manufacturers are not required to do a recall and don't choose to do a recall voluntarily. But when they're over the air, it's effortless to do them. So, Tesla does more recalls via over the air than everyone else combined. And the problem is, recall, when you recall an ambassador, you physically bring them back. Recall generally means to physically bring something back. And the only reason we're still using that term is because when over the air became a thing, there was no second word for it. And it becomes a bit dishonest. I can't even tell you if there are recalls outstanding on my car. There probably are.
Yeah, I've got two cars on Toro that are on safety recall and can't even be used on Toro until those recalls. And one of them is for fire, minor, very minor, uh, just might catch fire and explode. The other one is for randomly stalling.
Wow.
So
Jeff
it
suggested
happens.
updates. When I say if it's software, it should just be called a patch. Do we get headlines that say Microsoft just recalled every copy of Windows 11? No, they just issued an update.
Yeah. Well, it's very nice to this article. It does go through and talk about all the recalls that Tesla's had. But it's weird because there was no mention of Ford, of Toyota, of GM, all of them, and they've all had millions and millions of cars uh, that have been recalled over the years, and many of them for sometimes explosive things.
Yeah.
Pintos, they tend to explode. Explorers used to tend to roll over. And then there was, I think there was pickup trucks. I'm not remember by who, that the gas tanks would explode when you got T-boned. I
Hmm.
mean, just minor stuff, as
Was the
opposed to
Samurai ever recalled for its top heaviness, or was it just killed
no,
by consumers?
no. I think they were all bought by people who want to go four wheeling. They just put bigger tires, wider tires, so it lowered the center of gravity.
Apparently,
And
that test was not entirely honest. It was a bit sensational.
aren't they all?
Oh, like the Tesla flip where they used fireworks to launch it?
Yeah, that one.
That was super dishonest. So, yeah, recalls, not super worried.
I will say, on slide 8, Tesla recalled some 40,000 vehicles because drivers were reporting the loss of power steering under certain conditions. Those conditions include driving in particularly rocky terrain or driving over potholes. Around the same time, the company also recalled another 30,000 cars due to improper airbag deployment issues. That first one, I currently have that on my Model Y, and it is at my Model Y is at Tesla right now for this issue, running over potholes, and you'd hit a bump, and then all of a sudden you get a message saying that your power steering has been disabled, your anti-lock brakes have been disabled, and then it goes through a whole list of like eight or nine things of things that were disabled. And then once you shut the car off and turn it back on, it comes back. Happens on potholes.
Hmm.
Tesla did do an update on it, and apparently it's a special update because it's not one that you could just get because it was in the shop a couple weeks ago for this same issue, and then it happened to Tesla said we think we got it fixed. It hasn't happened in a day. We drove it around all day, but it started happening again on the previous rental, and now it's back in the shop again. So I am currently experiencing that issue, and that makes me a little nervous because they're going to replace the steering column
Oh, no.
because
So on your
yeah.
Oh, I was going to say on your chat, Mopar Den said that he read today that several Chinese EV makers may try to buy Subaru and use their dealer network to get into the U.S. Mentioned were Li Auto, BYD, and I don't know who Bio is, but I don't think that would work because the import tariff of 28% would still apply for any car made in China. And if they had plants in the U.S., I think getting into a dealer network would be very easy. They would just have a low franchise fee and call that good enough. I don't see that they would have a tremendous benefit from it.
Why
Thought,
wouldn't they just sell them online? I mean, that's
why?
what
Yeah,
Pulsar's doing it. Why
yeah,
why pay a franchisee to
yeah.
go out there and do things the way you don't want them to do it?
I think because of the hassle of having to build out a network for service, it'd be nice to just have the service centers. And it'd be nice to offload the financial responsibility onto the dealerships rather than having to floor your own inventory, as it were.
Well, I guess there are advantages, but
Yeah, but it's a double edged sword, and
yeah.
it's making a deal with the devil.
Oh, it most certainly is. But
Do you know that Tesla has ousted BMW from the top spot for luxury brands in the US for the first time?
and just out of curiosity, I mean, luxury is that just Model S's and X's or what?
No, it's so all of Tesla is considered a premium brand. So this was covered by John from Autoline, where he explained that John, right? Yeah, where he explained that it's just the marquee. Even a garbage Cadillac is considered premium, and even a super trimmed out Ford is not considered premium. It's just a legacy distinction. Interestingly, Tesla may have overtaken them last year, but because they don't break out U.S. registration separately, it is unknown if they surpassed in 21 or 22. But in any case, it is abundantly clear that they screamed past BMW in sales in the U.S. in 2022.
Did you, speaking of those, how they rate these cars, have you ever heard of a Cadillac Cimarron?
Yes, that's the exact one I was thinking of. Wasn't that a Chevy Cavalier?
It was a Chevy Cavalier.
Oh God, what a piece of trash! Oh gosh, it was so. If you guys don't know, they took the cheapest compact. No, it was actually one step up from the Geo that they had at the time, and it was this compact, not very good four-door sedan. And they're like, you know what? Let's Cadillac this bad boy. Let's put a couch in it and see what we can sell it for.
Oh, it was so awful.
Oh man. I've probably seen two in real life, so that's exciting.
Oh, I've been in one. My stepfather had one. It was not good.
When you look at something like that and you see if he bought it new, he paid too much money.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like this is the 80s, so it was not exactly cutting edge on anything. Cadillac back then, their big thing was power everything, including the antenna, and now it's luxury. So,
yeah. No, the Cadillacs, in my opinion, since probably 04-ish was the first time I was in one where I was genuinely impressed with it.
Can't say I've been overly impressed with. I was impressed with them when I was a kid, and my grandfather had a Fleetwood, and it was a giant boat. You could run around the back and play baseball. There was so much room when you're a kid, and it
probably had 4 cigarette lighters in it.
Oh no, it definitely did. I'd sit there and I'd press the cigarette lighter down in the back seat, and then watch it get hot, and my grandmother smoking up front, and my grandfather yelling Martha. But it was good memories, and I enjoyed the car. I remember having the little thermostat on the side view mirror, so you could look out. You could look at your mirror. You could see what the temperature is outside. I mean, that's how it worked back then.
Yeah.
But I tend to think Cadillac went downhill from there, and even though they're supposed to be a luxury brand, I mean, getting into an Escalade, you're in a Tahoe.
But a Tahoe's still pretty nice. And it's quiet, and it's powerful, and it had all the latest tech. It had the backup cameras and the GPS at a time when
it doesn't separate itself enough to be luxury.
Not anymore.
No.
I would agree. Do you know that BMW, the i7, accounted for 43% of the 7 Series sales last month?
That is quite a bit. I was just looking at an article on the BMW i7 earlier, saying how it is the Rolls-Royce of BMW, and they're very very top on. They're very high on it. They're really liking it. What's this? This comes in at what? Isn't it like $110,000?
It's a steep one. I don't have the number in front of me, but it's quite steep. But the 7 Series is their top of the line. And this could be an anomaly where they had a backlog that was, unsold that just finally cleared. And it could be that they're not keeping the factory running at full speed to keep the momentum going. But any bit helps. And this suggests to me that BMW is at least taking it seriously.
I think that they are. We just got to see more of their cars coming out and seeing what kind of range, what kind of quality. I think the quality will probably be fine, but like everyone else, they've got to have the range and the reliability that we're all looking for.
For sure. For sure.
And maybe not have 3.4 million recalls.
Did you hear the good news in Colorado with EV adoption?
Yeah, they got some superchargers put in so that people in Montana and Wyoming can go a little bit south of them and charge their cars.
That's funny. 10.5% of new vehicle sales are now electric in the state of Colorado.
Because they are giving them away with tax money. It looks
In
like.
Colorado?
Yeah,
Colorado tax
$2,000.
another $2,000 on top. Yeah, but the 7,500 didn't come in until last month. But
Right.
it's a combination of things. There is will to push them. There are a lot of EV minded buyers, I guess you could say, and apparently the charging network is sufficiently robust to make adoption less painful.
And that is a good thing. It's just ironic how just north of them, there's nothing out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Montana, the Dakotas, it's just so sparse. It's difficult to financially justify putting in a charger every 50 miles.
Yes, and we did talk about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, but who remembers,
Well, if you want to know what we talked about, just go back a couple episodes and see what we had to say.
That's a good idea. But clearly, Colorado must be in the lead, right?
Oh, hell no.
EV adoption grew to over 16% in California in 2022.
Yeah, they are the EV capital of this country. They're getting in their EVs and they're driving straight out and moving. I wonder how many people make plans. Let's buy the EV first, get the credit, and then we're leaving. Because there is a mass exodus of people from California.
There is. I read that it is not slowing down.
Yeah.
But housing is pretty outrageously expensive. So,
Yeah, people sell their houses out in California. They come down here instead of like making a down payment with their proceeds, they just buy the house outright, which works for them.
yeah. And people do complain that, well, they're driving up the costs. And in Montana, we would see that. I did travel writing in Montana for a number of years, and you would always hear people complaining about how people would move from California to Montana, pay cash, drive up the prices. So, yeah, well, that does happen. And by the way, at the time, immigration from Montana to California was at least as a percentage higher than it was from California back. And there's a lot of people in small towns who really don't like coasties. Those people from the coast. And it's like, right, but your town is still shrinking. If it weren't for coasties, you wouldn't have the lights on.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of those towns would no longer hit critical mass for a number of things like small supermarkets and restaurants. So it would turn them into real ghost towns.
So the ghosties saved them.
The coasties saved them.
Ghosties.
Ghosties.
I like ghosties.
Yeah.
So yeah, California is also doing a $2,000 rebate, and that makes the Model 3 rear-wheel drive almost free. $31,000 car in California, which is those are on levels of Bolt, the Bolt EUV also. So if you had a choice, $31,000 and you get a Bolt or a Model 3, geez, that's kind of a no-brainer. I mean,
I think we talked about it last week, but Oregon's is even more aggressive. They're not doing 2,000; they're matching the 7,500, so that car becomes 25 grand.
that's insane.
Yeah.
And you live in Washington, right?
Yeah.
Can you get a PO box in Oregon and
No,
apply
because
for
you have to file taxes in that state.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But there's also no sales tax in Oregon, which makes it another $3,000 cheaper.
Oh, and then there's this guy who pays the other $25,000 for you. Some random dude.
Some Turo it up kind of situation. That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, so it would be. These are no longer insanely expensive. I mean, we're talking. This is now as cheaper than a Camry, for a car that's cheaper to operate, cheaper to maintain, and still has very strong resale value.
Yeah, Camry's going to cost you about 26 or 27,000 for a base model,
Right?
plus your tax title and license, and you still don't have a car that can do what a Model S can do. You just have a very basic car.
Right. It's not a comparably equipped vehicle because
Right.
these don't come in a bare bones configuration. This is the $35,000 car we were promised. This is cheaper than that for a better car than that. You all right there?
Yeah, yeah. It's the old Toro thing popping up,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
someone keeps they're texting me and they can't get the word Jeep, and I they wouldn't tell me what car it was, so then they said Red Keep, and then they correct it and they said Keep again. I'm like,
Yeah.
then they realize it's orange, it's not red, so they're still going. Just I think I got it. I know which car it is now. Um,
Helpful, helpful.
it
So
is.
this is, yeah, and these incentives apply to other vehicles too. So you can also get a Bolt for very cheap. And I suppose others as well. Just don't buy the Mazda MX-30. And don't worry, only 9 people have last quarter. What a joke that car is.
Um, let's see. You're gonna keep talking while I
I'm going to keep
respond to this
talking.
person.
So, EV charger station sneak coming soon to a gas station near you. I don't know. Did AI write this headline? Because it doesn't quite make sense. But all 50 states will deploy federal NEVI program funds to build out the EV charging network and kill gas mobiles. So, the idea is that, this is open to everybody. This is open to EVgo and Electrify America, and of course, Tesla. And it's a bunch of money. That's going to be the sneak attack on gas stations. Because if you've got them everywhere, and there's already partnerships with Pilot and Travel Center of America, they're going to be adding chargers to their existing travel centers. Those are places that have more parking than a normal gas station, so they could accommodate it better, and an amount of shopping and services inside that make a 20-minute stop make sense. I had a viewer ask me, when are we going to get EV chargers at Walmart? And I said, level 3s? Probably never. A 20-minute shopping trip to Walmart is not what they want you there for. They want you there for a 40 to 60-minute shopping trip. That's too long for a level 3 charger.
Yeah.
unless it's an electric Hummer, in which case just camp.
Well, let's also be realistic. You're not thinking about this. Um, the the Chargers, you can make them 350. It's great, but you take a car like a Polestar, which, hey, cool car. Uh, it's got a charging limit. It doesn't go up
Yeah.
to 350. It's
Yeah.
around 120. It might be 150. I don't know the exact number, but I've had a charger twice in the last week, and I think 129 was like the highest I saw it on a 350 kilowatt charger. They just don't charge that fast. A Bolt is only 50 kilowatt charger. So you've got to have a car that can actually charge that fast to take advantage of this. And I'm just shocked that GM is still putting out cars with 50 kilowatt chargers. It can't be that much more to do it that way. So
Yeah.
I say that you're gonna end up spending more time than you like. I end up spending about 45 minutes charging up that Polestar,
Wow.
which is disappointing.
Yeah. But also, we're building the chargers today to last 10 years longer, maybe. So, focusing on the cars available today instead of what we'll be seeing more of in the next year or 2 or 3 doesn't always pencil out in terms of making the logistics work. But we'll see. We'll see. And having these locations, JJ made a comment saying, well, but you weren't excited when these same companies were going to add hydrogen. You can't walk away while you're charging hydrogen, but you can walk away when you're putting juice in the car, and that's the big draw for these stations is they want people who are now committed to a 20-minute stay where they're going to go inside and get something to eat, get something to drink, grab a candy bar, and a hat, a trucker hat. I don't have a trucker hat.
You don't have a trucker hat?
No, I've got a Cybertruck trucker hat, but I never wear it.
That didn't take
Oh.
much effort.
That's so nice. It sits on top of your headphones. Great.
Oh, yeah. It's a little dusty. I don't know if you remember, but my office gets a lot of dust.
Uh-huh.
And it gets hot. Remember how hot it gets?
I do. I remember it very well. It was quite the spa for me.
If anybody wants to see Brian lose 10 pounds in 20 minutes, there is a video somewhere out there where we interviewed each other in my shop, and it was hot, and
was very
Brian was sweating a little bit.
That
It was cute.
Wasn't that almost 2 years ago now, huh?
Oh my God, it possibly could have been that long ago,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, a year and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What the hell are we doing with our lives?
Making the best video stream on the internet for 41 viewers is what I'm doing.
Oh, well, you can almost double that, but not quite, because there's another 37 on here, so.
What you got to do is slap likes, everybody, on both channels if and you can. It helps others find it. So the Chevy Bolt and Ford Lightning drive up to a Supercharger. No joke, owners will soon be sharing their charging stations. You heard this announcement last week, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Tesla Supercharger network will finally begin to open up to other vehicles in the U.S.
Yeah, they're going to have, what is it, like 7,500 chargers by the end of 2024. You know, they could have all 30,000 or whatever they have if they just went with my idea.
Which is?
Remember that adapter I described?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Totally think it would work.
I don't think they want to have all stations available. I think they want to keep some of them exclusive, some locations, and certainly some stalls exclusive to Tesla, so that owners still get a better experience than non-owners. That's my take.
Yeah, possibly. There was something in this article about people whining about them having to wait and that they should get priority because they're Tesla owners, which I thought was kind of obnoxious to think that. I don't know how you'd possibly work that out. With I've got a Tesla, so I go first. You know, when people are waiting on lines. No, I think that's how street fights start. So.
Well, if you have a station with 50 stalls and only 10 of them are open to other vehicles, that would be one way.
Well, that's not how this person in the article was describing it. They were talking about you pull up and you get priority because you're in a Tesla.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't see that happening.
No.
One concern I have, and I know we've talked about this before, and Jeff is bringing it up as well, is the chargers are not in any uniform place on the vehicles, which would make it a bit difficult.
Oh, God, I saw that last night. So last night, I pull up at an EA station. It's only got 4 charging stations at this place, so which is already inadequate. So I pull up. The charger that I pull up to says that it's 150 kilowatts. Then I look on the app to start the thing. It says it's 50 kilowatts. Oh, so I start it up, and it's only going to 50 kilowatts. So I get up, I get in the car, I move it to another stall, and I start charging. And then this Lightning comes in, and he parks there, and I'm like, I guess I'm not going to say anything. And I went in and grabbed something to eat. I come out, and now he's parked across two stalls so that he could be next to me and reach my charging station. But his port is on the front left, and his charging station he's at is on the front right, and the cable doesn't reach. So he had to angle himself in, taking up 2 stalls. Meanwhile, there's an EQS that's waiting his turn, and he's trying to back in, and we're like trying to help him, like, so which side are you on? He's like, I'm on the front right, front passenger side. So he couldn't fit in any of the stalls because of how we'd, I'm sorry, but either front or back, it's got to be the way to go. And Tesla kind of screwed up in a way because their cables are too short, because they'll only work front or back left. And for the new cars that are going to be coming in, they're going to be in all sorts of places. But it was like watching ballerinas drive around and just running into each other. Uh, they they couldn't get their cars in the right way, and I'm in the Polestar and I'm at back left or like mid left. I mean, they're all. How hard can it be for them all to sit down and go, guys, we got to come up with a standard, you know, and then do it.
Yeah. John points out that shorter cables make cooling easier, and also the cables use a substantial amount of copper.
They are
They're
expensive.
they are expensive on a per foot basis, cooling or not. So, yeah, it's
The
going to be.
Tesla cables, I don't believe are cooled. The Electrify America ones, I believe, are because they're so fat. Now on the mega chargers, I heard that those are cooled also, and those are like what the diameter of a soda can.
Yeah, a Pepsi can.
Yeah. Or some people go a pop can for the people who say pop. Okay, hold on, JJ. We're not going to talk about Hyla because there's not really much to talk about right now. Maybe we'll have some really good information after the earnings report. But Hyla is they haven't really told us much, so we're going to have to wait. Okay, sorry, JJ. We love you. Brian does.
I do. I do.
He's got a man crush.
So, Ford has this new patent that would allow multiple EVs to connect to a single charger.
So this has got to be for like home use, right?
Or fleet use.
Home or fleet, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it definitely drawing power down from each one of them.
Yeah, it seems like an unnecessary tax on the battery and battery management system of each vehicle. But what this tells me is that Ford is actually trying to innovate in the EV space and not just use off-the-shelf parts to cobble something together in a compliance fashion. It tells me they have R&D.
Yes, I'm sure that they have R&D. Um, though, what kind of pickup? It looks like a Honda Ridgeline grill. They should have used their own cars though. Um, no, it's great, and I think that is something that could work. But the cars are going to have to be equipped for that. Like, see, the car in the middle is going to have two ports, one going in, one going out. So is for the pickup truck there. You're going to have to it, which is going to essentially raise the cost. Is it something that's necessary? I don't know.
I don't know. And it depends how much cost it adds and compared to how much it costs to just put in more chargers. But this whole EV centipede thing does seem a little gross to me.
Yeah, you know, it would be good. You get a charger, you stick it down in a parking lot somewhere, and you have four cables that come off of it, and then you can hook up to four cars at the same time. If it's for
Oh,
fleet, if it's for fleet, you're basically an
yeah.
octopus. Well,
Yeah.
half an octopus.
Yeah. And John asks, who's going to carry around all those cables? That's a good point. You would need to have fire hoses to connect each vehicle.
Yeah, and a couple of guys carrying them. All
It
right.
would be it'd be cheaper to add chargers than deal with all that.
Okay. So breaking news. Thank you, JJ. Uh, this was put out 3 hours ago, and Brian and we literally prepare for this for like 6 hours. So we're in a media blackout. So
It's true.
yeah. Headline of the article is Nikola announces additional Hyla branded hydrogen refueling station in California. So I will bring over the article. Brian, you don't have one. Sorry.
That's all right.
It's
You can tell us about it.
I will tell you about it. So the latest California refueling station location will be in the city of West Sacramento. Isn't that farther up north? Where's Sacramento?
About an hour from San Francisco to the northeast on the way
Okay.
to Reno.
See, that's interesting because that is way up there, and the other stations are down on the I-10, which is several hundred miles away. Um, and by the end of 2026, Nikola will have 60 stations in place to support the growth of the Hyla brand. And then it goes on, let's see, the first 4 stations in California are intended as part of Nikola's energy strategy to support hydrogen electric truck demand. Well, they're making them. They got another deal going, Brian.
Great. We'll see how it works out. There was a video put out, I think, yesterday by Jordan Giesecke, where he interviews a EV semi-expert, a consultant in Europe who does this for a living. And Jordan asked him about fuel cells, and he was not very rosy on the prospects. But what do I know? He's just a professional consultant in the industry.
Well, remember, everybody can't be right.
Is that true?
Yeah. People are going to be wrong.
That's true. That's true, I suppose.
Either the guys saying that it's going to work are going to be wrong, or the guys saying that it's not going to work are going to be wrong.
So we're at 456. We've
Oh,
got
wait, one more thing. Go
Yeah.
Betamax. Go Betamax. All right, go ahead.
It's a great format. So I think we should cap it there. What do you think of that?
Yeah, we're going to do that because should we tell them or not tell them?
Well, so next week I'm going to be in Texas on Tuesday, so we're shooting a double today. So we've got a whole other show we're going to roll right into and record, but not publish until next week. And I'll probably do my usual thing where I say I'll be in the chat, and maybe I will. So we'll see.
You won't be. He's going to, I know him. And when he's not on the doing a show, he is passed out drunk.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yes. So I do want to thank my patrons who, get early access, ad-free experience sometimes, and genuinely keep the channel running, providing a substantial majority of the income that I receive. And I thank you guys for that so much.
And I want to thank my Patreons. I want to thank JJ just for throwing those news articles at us. By the way, Sandy says it works, by the way, and that should be like the chant. Sandy says it works. Sandy, we're talking about hydrogen.
Right, but Sandy doesn't say that it's financially viable because Sandy doesn't analyze that part of it, and that is the bigger part of the equation.
I think there is a little bit of that taken into account there, because if it doesn't, he's big about saving on costs. You know that. You can't say that he's not. He's definitely
Yes.
aware of costs. So, pooey on what you just said. That's not right. And so next week we will be back. It will be taped. I'm going to be wearing the same clothes a week from now, apparently, and I'm going to have the same beard growth and everything, which means we're not going to have any updates on the Lucid and Nikola earnings report, which is due this week, but I will be live streaming them at the appropriate time. When they come on, I'll be on. I think it's not tomorrow, is it? Jeez, I hope not. But I'll be there for that. Brian, he's taking his little vacation.
Yeah, it's going to be so soothing and relaxing. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, and thank you, Bear, for your time. And I'll see everybody on the next one.
All right. Thanks, everybody.